I had a lot of doubt in me that I just didn't feel like I was ready. And I'm usually not that type of player. Honestly, I just didn't feel like I was ready.
Dwayne Lee Bacon Jr., born August 30th, 1995. Every hooper has a plan, but the NBA has a way of tearing that plan to pieces. Back in 2019, we looked at Dwayne Bacon, a 6'6" scoring machine out of Florida State, who seemed to have every tool in the shed to become an NBA great. Yet, still his growth was stunted. We saw the DNPs in Charlotte and the G League assignments and wondered, what happened? Well, it's 2026, and the answer seems a bit more clear, and it's not what anyone expected. It wasn't just about bad coaching or a lack of minutes, it was a choice. Bacon recently admitted something you rarely hear from a pro: I wasn't ready. From battling depression on the Hornets' bench to becoming a certified MVP overseas and now a bucket getter in Dubai, Dwayne Bacon's journey is the ultimate lesson in finding your value when the league tells you you have none. Showing growth being stunted doesn't always mean the end of the road. What happened to the player who stopped playing the NBA's game so he could start hooping again? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get him. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know who I should do next. Stunt number 1, the sophomore trap. The journey of Dwayne Bacon is a masterclass in the thin line between confidence and preparedness. To understand why his growth eventually hit a wall, you have to go back to Tallahassee. After a dominant freshman year at Florida State where he averaged nearly 16 points and earned all ACC freshman honors, the NBA was already calling for the former McDonald's All-American. The hype was real. He was a 6'6" wing with a pro-level frame and a bucket-getter's mentality. Most guys in that position balled for the NBA immediately, but Bacon did something different. He stayed. In his recent 2026 interview with Run Your Race, he pulled back the curtain on that decision, admitting, "I felt I wasn't ready." This is a heavy statement. Usually we talk about stunted growth as something the league does to a player. Bad coaching, lack of minutes, or being buried on a bench. But here, the stunt started with an internal realization. Bacon knew he had the talent, but he felt his game needed more seasoning. He returned for his sophomore year, and on paper, he was better. He bumped his scoring to 17.2 points per game, led the Seminoles to the NCAA tournament, and proved he could be the focal point of a winning program. But here's where the trap snapped shut. While Bacon was developing his game in college, the NBA's perception of him was shifting. In the league's eyes, a freshman with potential is a mystery box. A sophomore with the same stats is a known commodity. By trying to be, quote, ready, he inadvertently let the league find his flaws. His draft stock, which once flirted with the late lottery or mid-first round, began to slide. He lost all allure and became an afterthought. By the time the 2017 draft rolled around, he didn't hear his name called in the first round. He didn't even hear it in the early second. He fell all the way to the 40th pick, owned by New Orleans, but immediately traded to Charlotte. Think about that. 39 times NBA teams looked at a guy who had been a McDonald's All-American and an All-ACC star and said pass. Falling to 40 changed the entire trajectory of his career. Instead of a guaranteed contract and a team invested in his survival, he became a second-round flyer on a Charlotte Hornets team that was notorious for having a tweener identity crisis. He entered a locker room where he had to fight for scraps behind established vets or other young wings like Malik Monk. He wanted to be ready, but by going back to school, he landed in a situation where the team had invested players in front of him. The very thing he feared, sitting on a bench and not being prepared, became his reality because he was drafted into a spot with zero margin for error. He thought staying in school would build his foundation, but in the cutthroat world of NBA scouting, it just gave critics more time to build a case against him. Stunt number 2, the hometown heartbreak. After things fizzled out in Charlotte, Bacon got the opportunity every hooper dreams of, a chance to go back home. In 2020, he signed with the Orlando Magic. This wasn't just a bench role, it was a homecoming for a kid from Lakeland, Florida, who grew up watching the Magic. This was supposed to be the new scenery that saved his career and proved my 2019 theory right, that Dwayne Bacon just needed a team to believe in him. And for a while, it seemed the plan was finally working. Bacon wasn't just on the roster in Orlando, he was an absolute Iron Man. During a condensed, grueling 72-game season, he was the only player on the entire team to appear in every single game. He started 50 of those games, averaging nearly 11 points and 3 rebounds. He wasn't just getting burned, he was a focal point of their offense. He even had a massive night where he dropped a career-high 28 points against his former team, the Hornets, showing Charlotte exactly what they had given up on. On the surface, his growth was finally trending back up. He was proving he could be a durable, consistent, double-digit scorer at the highest level. But then, the cold reality of the NBA business intervened. Midway through that season, the Magic decided to blow the entire franchise up. They traded away established all-stars like Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon to start a complete rebuild from scratch. Suddenly, the goal in Orlando wasn't about winning games with reliable mid-career players like Bacon, it was about the tank. The front office wanted to lose enough games to secure a high draft pick and clear the way for teenagers who were years away from being ready. Even though Bacon had been their most reliable soldier, the Magic decided he didn't fit their new timeline. In August 2021, despite his solid production, they waived him. They didn't do it because he couldn't hoop, they did it because his contract for the next year wasn't guaranteed. In the NBA, a non-guaranteed contract is like a target on your back during a rebuild. By cutting him, the Magic saved money and opened a roster spot for a draft pick. In his 2026 interview, Bacon reflects on this as the moment the NBA broke him mentally. He describes a period of deep frustration and depression because he had done everything asked of him. He stayed healthy and he produced, yet the league still told him he wasn't a part of their plan. He realized that in the NBA you can be a starting level talent and still be treated like a disposable asset. This was the moment his growth was effectively cut off, not by a lack of talent, but by a business model that values potential over proven production. He went from a hometown hero to a man without a league, forced to realize that if he wanted to be the man again, he'd have to leave the country to find a court that actually wanted him. Stunt number 3, the MVP Pivot. When the NBA door finally slammed shut after just 4 seasons, Dwayne Bacon faced the ultimate crossroads for a professional athlete: fade into the background of minor leagues or completely redefine his worth on a global stage. He chose the latter, and in doing so, he proved that his growth was only stunted by the NBA's narrow vision, not by a lack of his own talent. He stopped chasing a bench role in America and decided to become a king overseas. His journey took him across the world, from the high-pressure EuroLeague courts with Monaco and Panathinaikos to a massive scoring run in China with the Shanghai Sharks, where he averaged over 22 points a game. But it was the 24-25 season in Russia with Zenit St. Petersburg that truly changed the narrative. Bacon didn't just play well in the VTB United League, he dominated the entire competition. He led Zenit to an incredible 25-game winning streak, setting a league record and earning himself the VTB United regular season MVP. He says that he found his hooping high again during this run, a feeling he hadn't truly felt since his days at Oak Hill or Florida State. He realized he would rather be an MVP playing at the highest level in Europe and Russia than be a 12th man on an NBA roster just for the sake of the logo on the jersey. He understood that getting buckets is valuable anywhere, and he refused to let the NBA's business decision dictate his happiness or his bank account. By late 2025, he brought that same MVP energy to a newly formed Dubai basketball team in the ABA League. Even at 30 years old, the scoring prowess hasn't dried up. In November that year, he put the basketball world on notice again by dropping a career-high 36 points. As of early 2026, he was leading Dubai with over 16 points per game, proving that regardless of the continent, he remains a really good scoring option. He's currently sidelined with a left hamstring injury as of April 2026, but the legacy he's built outside the USA is already secure. What this run really did was force Bacon to make a decision he never had to make before. What kind of player did he actually want to be? In the NBA, that answer is usually made for you. You fit into a role, you accept it, or you're out. But overseas, especially as his confidence grew, Bacon wasn't asked to fit in, he was being relied on. The ball was in his hands, the offense ran through him, and for the first time in a long time, the expectations matched the way he saw himself. It wasn't just about proving he could still score, he already knew that. It was about control. Control over his game, his role, and ultimately his career. And that's where the real pivot happened. Not when he won MVP, not when he dropped big numbers, but when he stopped viewing the NBA as the only version of success. At that point, the chase was over. He wasn't trying to get back anymore, he already found something better suited for him. All in all, Dwayne Bacon's journey is a powerful reminder that stunted growth isn't a death sentence. It's often just a sign that you're in the wrong soil. We watched him go from an NBA hopeful who admitted he wasn't ready for the league's cutthroat business to a man who found his peace and is hooping high thousands of miles away. Today, he doesn't sound like a man with regret. He sounds like he finally understands his worth. He stopped letting NBA front offices define him as a non-guaranteed asset and started defining himself as an MVP and value elsewhere. Whether he's dropping 30 in Dubai or leading a dynasty in Russia, Bacon proved that as long as you can put the ball in the hole, there will always be a place for you to shine. He took the hardest path possible, admitting his own vulnerabilities, and used that honesty to rebuild his career on his own terms. His NBA chapter might be closed for now, but the story of Dwayne Bacon is far from over. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth in the NBA was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.